15 years of DCS. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 311 Griffin YouTube channel. We got a rather large update yesterday to the open beta to DCS, and I wanted to talk about a few of these things. Now, I am probably not even going to be able to notice a difference with some of these. These are some pretty big changes. But I'm playing DCS on a potato of a machine, it seems like, and so I don't know that I'm going to be able to uh, take advantage of some of these. I was hoping to upgrade my machine using funds from YouTube that I've been really working hard at for the past few years, 10 years actually. Um, but YouTube, well, either my channel is just absolutely terrible and I'm a horrible content creator, which is likely, or YouTube just doesn't uh, doesn't doesn't want to pay very much for their ad space. I don't know. It's okay. We can have fun anyway. It's not a problem. If you do like my channel, or if you are entertained by my channel, or you've learned something from my channel and you want to support me, as always, you can like, subscribe, spread the word, send people the videos that you think are helpful or entertaining so they can watch them too. I think you can do things like super thanks or something if you don't want to join the channel. I don't really know much about all that. But most importantly, if you really want to do something cool, give to a charity of your choice, and then just pop a note in this video or whichever video you're watching and let me know about it. That doesn't financially impact my channel, but it really gets me pumped up, and I love that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what we are going to talk about. This is the changelog. This thing is huge. There's so much stuff in this changelog, and there's so many things added to so many different modules. I'm not really focused on any particular module, even though I'm liking some of the stuff that I'm seeing for some of these modules. They added an axis control for the lighting dials for the A10-2 tank killer. That's really cool. I would like, if I remember correctly, they do not have axis controls for trim, and I think that the A10 has trim wheels, so I'd really like to see that if it does. There's a lot of modules that I have some trim wheels that my friend Warlock built me, and I can't use them for most modules for trim because they don't have axis controls. But what we are going to talk about, we're gonna in no particular order. We got some new 3D models. We're just going to look at a couple of these. We're going to look at the B1 and the B2H, not in high detail, but I just want to take a look at them. The cinematic view, right control plus F2, this is pretty cool. I'm going to have to play around with it, but I think we're going to get a little bit more control and some cooler shots now. So I like that. This we're not really looking at, but I love seeing it on. I mean, so far I've just done a few replays or tracks, and they weren't huge, and they worked perfectly. But this is huge. This is absolutely huge. I've been asking for this for years, and we'll see if it holds up. But I love it. We're gonna look at this one, and we're gonna look at this one, and a little bit about this one, I guess. What else? There's one other thing. I may not be able to find it necessarily. It's new FLIR for radar usage is what it is. That's what it is. Okay, let's check out this strafing run real quick. I've got my strafing run set up. This is where I believe this is where it starts, and I don't mess with all of the parameters here, or I'm not going to. But I can't build it for more than 200 meters. And there's a lot of quirkiness, it seems like, because if you like, I had the A10 and it had Mavericks on it, and it decided to use those Mavericks and kind of ignore the strafing run. It's because I put a couple of vehicles down there. Also, it doesn't really obey the altitudes that I'm giving it. And also, if I build waypoints out past the strafing run, like past waypoint 3 there, the A10 just kind of ignores everything. So I had to take the weapons off of it to get it to do the strafing run. and I could not give it more waypoints to have it turn around and try to do another strafing run. So I'm putting in another airplane, and I'm making the first one despawn and the second one spawn. So it will give the illusion that one passed over and then turned around and came back. Um, However, I'm going to tell you that I've already done this. This is what we're watching, is something that happened in the past, and it didn't work. The second plane, even though its waypoints and the strafing run is set up just like the first one, it just didn't do anything. It didn't fly the route. It flew back to base. It started flying the route, and then it got to waypoint 3, and then it just decided, like, nope, I'm going to fly back to base. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to play with this some more. It doesn't seem like it's working quite right. But anyway, what I think this could do, and this would matter more to me if this were like a game that had a better first-person shooter aspect to it, because this would be really cool to be in kind of a battle and have an A-10 come swooping in, strafing some enemy positions for us. That would be pretty cool. Let's watch a couple of these real quick. So when it works, it's kind of cool. I like it. So next, let's talk about the radar through FLIR. And I don't know that I'm going to notice a huge difference in this, but because I don't exactly remember what they looked like before, but this is CCD, and then that's Black Hot. And then that's White Hot. So I honestly, like, I think it looks different. It looks like there's just a little bit more of a contrast on the top of this. This is an SA-15, and it looks like there's a little bit more contrast at the top of it and kind of around where the radar would be working. So I think it's just a small tweak that they've done, and I like it. But again, I don't really know what it looked like before. I could go back through some of my old videos and try to find one where I've taken on an SA-15 with an A-10 and just kind of compare. But it looks to me like it's a little bit different. And, as always, any little tweaks they can do to make it more realistic or better in whatever way they feel is best, those are always appreciated. So this is a cool feature. I love that they're just always tweaking these things, even things that have been out for a few years, or that are core parts of DCS world. So it's pretty cool. Okay, now let's talk about, we're going to look at the downwash effects, the rotor effects of the Apache, but first we're just going to take a look at the B1 and the B52. So these models used to be pretty gross. Oh, and also while we're looking at these, we're going to be looking at the Control F2. So this is the new view. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And we can start moving around using the WASD keys and the Q and the E, and also using the mouse. So this model is just absolutely night and day different than the old model. If I'm remembering the old model correctly, I would use some of these jets from time to time to try to build some immersion and some ambiance into my missions, and they were so gross looking that I just kind of stopped doing it. They were disgusting. They were so old. So this looks pretty good. Yeah, obviously the camera controls that I'm doing right here are a little bit jerky because I'm using the mouse to kind of center up on the plane. But I think with a little bit of work, you can get some pretty cool shots. Some of this looks pretty good. So we'll just watch him take off there. This is an old view. This is the F3 view, so no worries. That's a cool shot, though. This looks so much better. Now, you might say, like, those afterburner effects when you get in close, they're not that cool looking. They're fairly static, not entirely static. But I'm okay with that because this is an AI aircraft, and they look fine from a distance. So I'm good with it. It looks great. So B-52, same thing. It's just a much cleaner model. And we're going to kind of go around it using the cool new camera views as well. I like this camera view. It's just going to make it easier to get your shots that you want. Now, one thing I wish that they would add in is I wish that they would put in a way to use any camera view you want, the various camera views, and lock in a position relative to either DCS World or the unit that you are locked to, depending on which camera view you're using. And then I wish there was a button you could hit to save that coordinate for your camera position, and then to either save an angle for your camera direction or save a target and lock on the target, and then also set a field of view and like write those to a Lua file so that you could build out a cinematic, basically. Like Arma has a similar thing. Arma's is a little bit clunky to use. I think if you had some embedded kind of like keys, you could make it better where you could lock those positions in. You'd have to be careful with it, but that would be super cool. You'd be able to build some really cool intros and outros to missions if you could do that. Okay, so we're looking at Downwash now, and this is really cool. I love the tree foliage. I mean, the trees aren't super high poly or anything, and I'm okay with that. You get pretty close, they start looking a little bit wonky, but just the fact that they're moving adds a lot of immersion. We're gonna see how close basically we're gonna see how close we get. See, it's okay, that one's moving. That's awesome. It's kind of a little bit delayed, I think, but it seems fairly realistic to me. I mean, realistic enough. Like as we approach these trees, and now we're kicking up some dust. We're low enough. We're kicking up some dust. But that tree, we're really giving that tree the business. And that one. So that's just absolutely fantastic. I honestly don't remember if the grass effects were here before, like if the blades of grass would move around. I remember some dust effects, but I don't really remember if the blades of grass would move. But they're moving now, so, and they're moving in I mean, the grass isn't great in DCS, but it's good enough, and it moves in a fairly realistic way. There we go, there's a good view of the grass. So anyway, I believe that's all that I was going to talk about. So some really cool features, and there's just so much in this update. It was a huge update. I had to remove data from my drive for the first time in a very long time to make room for DCS. So it was a huge update. But anyway, a lot of stuff in it, a lot of cool things we could be talking about, but these were the things that I thought were that jumped out at me, and so I wanted to look at them in DCS, and I thought, I'll just share them with everybody in case there are people that didn't realize that these were added or didn't or were curious about them and hadn't had a chance to look at them themselves. So with that, thanks for watching, and happy flying. Take care. Let me drink a little bit of coffee here. I don't know that I'm awake yet. Stir that up. still hot. It's super hot. It's like magma.